Have you ever popped a vitamin thinking it's the key to staying healthy, only to wonder if it's doing more harm than good? If you're over 60, this one small habit could be silently raising your risk of a stroke while you sleep. No warning, no pain, just a sudden moment where you can't lift your arm, your speech slurs, or your balance vanishes. As a brain doctor, I've seen too many seniors face this nightmare, not from smoking or poor diet, but from vitamins they thought were helping. In this video, I'll reveal 5 common vitamins, ones you might be taking right now, that could quietly increase your risk of stroke, brain bleeds, or blood pressure spikes, especially in the early morning when your brain is most vulnerable. You need to watch until the end because I'll also share simple, food-based solutions to protect your brain without the risks, empowering you to take control of your health with confidence. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video. You can help me continue to spread the old age lesson. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know, so I can make a better video for you. Now let's get started. Let's dive into a topic that could be a game changer for your health, especially if you're over 60. The hidden dangers of certain vitamins that many seniors take without a second thought. We're starting with one that might shock you: vitamin D. You've likely heard that vitamin D is a superstar for your health. Great for strong bones, a brighter mood, and a robust immune system. All of that is true, but only when taken in moderation and under the right conditions. What most people, especially older adults, are never told is that taking too much vitamin D, particularly at night, can silently increase your risk of a life-altering stroke. This isn't just theoretical. I've seen the consequences firsthand in my practice. Let me tell you about Mr. Walter Thompson, a 74-year-old retired Navy veteran from Virginia. Walter was the picture of discipline, up at dawn, daily walks, and a meticulous routine of supplements to stay healthy. Among them was a high-dose vitamin D capsule, 10,000 IU daily, that he'd picked up at a local pharmacy, believing it was the key to protecting his bones and vitality. He had no idea that this seemingly harmless habit was setting the stage for a silent catastrophe. One morning, his wife, Linda, found him in distress. Walter was confused, his speech slurred, and his right arm dangled uselessly at his side. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital, where a CT scan confirmed a stroke had occurred overnight. Blood tests revealed the culprit: vitamin D toxicity. His calcium levels were dangerously high, his arteries were stiff, and his blood pressure was erratic. How did a vitamin cause this? Excessive vitamin D can lead to hypercalcemia, a condition where calcium builds up in your bloodstream. Your body, unable to process this excess, deposits calcium into your arteries, causing them to harden and narrow, a process called vascular calcification. This creates the perfect environment for a blood clot to form, which can travel to the brain and trigger a stroke. As we age, our arteries naturally lose elasticity, making them more vulnerable to damage. Combine this with common issues in older adults, like dehydration, poor sleep quality, or even mild kidney dysfunction, and a nighttime spike in calcium from a high-dose vitamin D supplement becomes a ticking time bomb. The scariest part? There are no obvious warning signs. You could go to bed feeling perfectly fine and wake up unable to speak, move, or recognize your loved ones. Over-the-counter vitamin D supplements often contain doses far beyond what most seniors need. 5,000 IU, 10,000 IU, or even higher. Many people pop these pills daily, assuming more is better. But research, including a 2019 study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, suggests that doses as low as 2,000 IU daily can be excessive for those who aren't deficient, especially without medical oversight. Here's my advice. If you're taking vitamin D, particularly alongside calcium supplements or heart medications like statins or blood pressure drugs, you must have your blood levels checked regularly. Aim to keep your vitamin D levels between 30 to 50 nanograms per milliliter, as levels above 100 nanograms per milliliter can be toxic. Always take vitamin D in the morning, as calcium absorption peaks during the day and minimizes nighttime risks. Check your supplement bottle. Do you know how many IUs you're taking daily? If you're on vitamin D right now, type D in the comments below, and let's start a conversation. If this information makes you rethink your routine, please like this video to spread the word to others who need to hear it. If that revelation about vitamin D surprised you, brace yourself for the next one. Vitamin E, often marketed as a heart helper. Many older adults take vitamin E, hoping it will support cardiovascular health, improve circulation, or even enhance memory and skin vitality. But here's a critical fact that rarely makes it onto supplement labels. High doses of vitamin E, especially when combined with common heart medications, can significantly increase your risk of a hemorrhagic stroke, a dangerous brain bleed that can rob you of your independence. Let me share a story that still haunts me. Mrs. Evelyn Brooks, an 81-year-old retired librarian from Ohio. Evelyn was vibrant, sharp-witted, and loved nothing more than curling up with a good book or sharing stories with her grandchildren. She had a heart valve condition and was prescribed warfarin, a blood thinner, to prevent clots. Her doctors monitored her closely, and her blood work was stable. But one day, Evelyn saw an ad in a health magazine for a natural vitamin E supplement promising better memory and circulation. The bottle boasted 800 IU per capsule, and she began taking it daily, thinking it would complement her heart regime. 3 weeks later, Evelyn's family rushed her to the ER. She was suffering from a splitting headache, nausea, and confusion so severe she couldn't recognize her daughter. A brain scan revealed a hemorrhagic stroke, not caused by high blood pressure or a fall, but by a deadly interaction between her warfarin and the high-dose vitamin E. The combination had thinned her blood to the point that a fragile blood vessel in her brain ruptured, causing bleeding that threatened her life. Here's why this happens. Vitamin E, in high doses, acts as a natural anticoagulant, slowing your body's ability to form clots. This can be catastrophic if you're already taking medications like warfarin, aspirin, or Plavix, which are commonly prescribed to older adults for heart conditions or stroke prevention. The risk is especially high in the brain, where even a small bleed can cause devastating consequences: loss of speech, memory, mobility, or even life. The recommended daily intake for vitamin E in older adults is just 15 milligrams, about 22 IU, according to the National Institutes of Health. Yet, many supplements sold in stores contain 200 IU, 400 IU, or even 1000 IU per capsule, with no clear warnings about the risks of combining them with blood thinners. Evelyn was fortunate to survive, but her recovery was grueling. She now relies on a cane to walk, and her once sharp memory is patchy. In tears, she told me, "I thought I was doing something good for my health. I had no idea I was putting myself in danger." Her story isn't unique. Countless seniors assume vitamins are inherently safe, but that's far from the truth. If you're on heart or blood pressure medications, consult your doctor before adding vitamin E or any new supplement to your routine. Check your supplement labels, and if you're taking vitamin E, type E in the comments to share your experience. Let's keep this conversation going to protect others. Now, if the idea of a brain bleed wasn't alarming enough, let's talk about a vitamin often praised for nerve health and energy: vitamin B6. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. You've probably seen it in supplements labeled as nerve support, brain boosters, or energy enhancers at your local pharmacy or online. Maybe a friend or even a health professional suggested it to help with aging nerves or fatigue. But here's a chilling truth. Excessive vitamin B6 can damage your nerves, sometimes permanently, leading to symptoms that mimic arthritis, aging, or even early dementia. Let me introduce you to Mr. Harold Jenkins, a 76-year-old retired truck driver from Kansas. Harold was a tough, independent man who prided himself on staying active after decades on the road. But about a year ago, he started noticing troubling symptoms: numbness in his feet, tingling in his hands, and a wobbly gait that made him feel unsteady. At first, he chalked it up to getting old. But then he began falling, first in his garage, then in his kitchen, and finally in his bathroom, where he hit his head and needed stitches. When I reviewed his medications and supplements, one stood out: a nerve support formula he'd been taking for over a year. Each tablet contained 100 milligrams of vitamin B6, and he was taking 2 daily, totaling 200 milligrams, more than 10 times the safe upper limit for older adults. Unlike water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C, which your body flushes out in urine, vitamin B6, pyridoxine, can accumulate in your system over time. In excess, it becomes toxic to your nervous system, damaging the myelin sheath, the protective coating around your nerves. Think of it like stripping insulation off an electrical wire. Without that protection, your nerves misfire, leading to symptoms like tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, tremors, or even cognitive issues like confusion or memory loss. A 2020 study in neurology reported cases of peripheral neuropathy linked to B6 toxicity, with some patients experiencing permanent damage if the issue wasn't caught early. What makes B6 toxicity so insidious is its slow onset. Many seniors mistake the symptoms for arthritis, poor circulation, or early dementia, delaying diagnosis and allowing the damage to worsen. Harold was lucky. We stopped the supplement immediately, and while the damage didn't progress, he still needs a cane to walk and can no longer drive. "I just wanted to keep my mind sharp," he told me, his voice heavy with regret. "I didn't know I was poisoning my body." The safe daily intake for vitamin B6 in older adults is 1.5 to 2 milligrams, with an upper limit of 20 milligrams for most seniors, including what you get from foods like bananas, potatoes, or fortified cereals. Yet, many nerve support or brain health supplements contain 50 milligrams, 100 milligrams, or even 200 milligrams per dose, amounts that are not only unnecessary but potentially harmful. If you're taking a supplement for nerves, energy, or brain health, check the label for B6 content. If you or someone you know is using one, type B6 in the comments to share your story. Let's raise awareness to prevent others from making the same mistake. Finally, let's tackle a vitamin that seems innocent enough. Vitamin A, often celebrated for supporting eyesight, immune function, and even graceful aging. If you're over 60, you might be taking it to keep your vision sharp or your skin healthy. But here's a critical warning that rarely comes with those brightly colored bottles. Too much vitamin A doesn't just sit harmlessly in your system. It builds up and can cause serious harm, including increased pressure inside your skull that mimics a stroke, damages your vision, and even affects your brain function. Let me tell you about Miss Dorothy Simmons, a 79-year-old retired piano teacher from Oregon. Dorothy was fiercely independent, teaching music to local children well into her late 70s. She prided herself on staying active and healthy, but about a year ago, she began experiencing troubling symptoms. Persistent headaches, blurred vision, dizziness, and eventually slurred speech. Her family feared she was having a stroke. But when we ran her scans, the results were unexpected. No clot, no bleed, but elevated intracranial pressure, a condition where excess fluid puts dangerous pressure on the brain. After reviewing her supplement routine, we found the cause, a high-dose skin and eye health formula containing 10,000 IU of vitamin A daily, which she'd been taking for over 5 years without realizing the risk. Unlike water-soluble vitamins, vitamin A is fat-soluble, meaning it's stored in your liver, fat tissues, and even your brain. As we age, our liver's ability to process and eliminate excess vitamin A slows down, making toxicity more likely. Too much vitamin A can lead to a condition called pseudotumor cerebri, which mimics a brain tumor. Symptoms include headaches, blurred or double vision, dizziness, nausea, and in severe cases, permanent vision loss or cognitive decline. A 2018 case series in the American Journal of Ophthalmology linked chronic vitamin A toxicity to vision loss in older adults taking high-dose supplements for extended periods. What makes this so dangerous is how easy it is to overdo it. Many multivitamins already provide the recommended daily dose of vitamin A, about 2,500 to 3,000 IU for seniors. But some people, like Dorothy, unknowingly stack additional eye health, skin health, or anti-aging supplements on top, pushing their intake to toxic levels. Supplements sold online or in stores often contain 5,000 IU, 10,000 IU, or more per dose, with no clear warnings about long-term risks. Dorothy's symptoms improved after stopping the supplement, but her vision never fully recovered, and she now struggles to read sheet music, a loss that broke her heart. What you can do to stay. The takeaway from these stories isn't to avoid vitamins altogether. Vitamins are essential in the right amounts, but to approach them with caution, especially as you age. Here are practical steps to protect yourself. Check your labels. Always read the ingredient list and dosage on your supplements. Compare them to the recommended daily intakes for your age group. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. Get tested. Ask your doctor to check your vitamin D, B6, and A levels regularly, especially if you take supplements. Blood tests can catch imbalances before they cause harm. Time it right. Take fat-soluble vitamins like D, E, and A in the morning to reduce nighttime risks and improve absorption. Talk to your doctor. If you're on heart medications, blood thinners, or other prescriptions, Discuss any new supplements with your healthcare provider to avoid dangerous interactions. Less is often more. Stick to the lowest effective dose, and get as many nutrients as possible from a balanced diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. These vitamins, D, E, B6, and A, can be lifesavers in the right amounts, but in excess, they can turn dangerous, especially for older adults. If any of these stories hit home, share your thoughts in the comments. Type the vitamin you're concerned about, D, E, B6, or A, to keep this conversation going. And if this information opened your eyes, give this video a like to help others stay informed and safe. Ms. Dorothy Thompson, a vibrant 76-year-old grandmother from Ohio, is on the slow road to recovery after a health scare that caught her by surprise. Once an avid gardener who prided herself on staying active, Dorothy now requires regular eye examinations, blood pressure monitoring, and balance therapy to regain her stability. Sitting in my office, her voice trembled as she recounted her ordeal. "I thought I was doing something good for my body, doctor. I never imagined a simple supplement could harm my brain." Her story is not meant to frighten anyone, but to serve as a wake-up call. It's a reminder that even well-intentioned choices, like taking vitamins or supplements, can carry hidden risks if we don't arm ourselves with the facts. My goal in sharing Dorothy's experience is simple: to help you protect your health, preserve your independence, and make informed decisions about what you put into your body. If Dorothy's story about the unexpected dangers of eyesight vitamins surprised you, brace yourself for an even more startling revelation about a supplement often hailed as a heart health hero, niacin. Also known as vitamin B3, niacin is widely celebrated for its ability to support cholesterol levels and promote cardiovascular health. It's a staple in high-dose prescription medications, over-the-counter heart health supplements, energy drinks, and even fortified breakfast cereals. Doctors sometimes recommend it, and health-conscious individuals, especially older adults, often turn to it as a natural way to keep their ticker in check. But what's frequently left out of the conversation is a sobering truth. In high doses, niacin can trigger dangerous fluctuations in blood pressure, increase the risk of heart rhythm disorders, and, in some cases, even precipitate a stroke, particularly in seniors whose bodies are more vulnerable to these effects. Let me introduce you to Mr. Frank Miller, an 82-year-old retired postal worker from Sarasota, Florida, whose story illustrates this risk all too clearly. Frank walked into my clinic one humid afternoon, accompanied by his wife, Ellen, and their concerned son, Michael. He described a perplexing array of symptoms that had been plaguing him for weeks. Sudden hot flashes that left his face flushed and burning, a pounding sensation in his chest that felt like his heart was racing, and bouts of dizziness that struck unpredictably, especially in the mornings. Ellen suspected anxiety, perhaps triggered by the stress of retirement. Michael wondered if Frank's blood pressure medication was to blame. But as we dug deeper into Frank's daily routine, a surprising culprit emerged, one that neither he nor his family had considered. Frank had been diligently taking an over-the-counter supplement labeled Heart Healthy Formula, purchased from a reputable pharmacy. The front of the bottle boasted benefits like supports healthy cholesterol and circulation. The fine print on the back, however, revealed a critical detail. Each serving contained 1,000 milligrams of niacin, and Frank was taking 2 servings daily, totaling 2,000 milligrams. To put this in perspective, the recommended dietary allowance, RDA, for niacin in older adults is just 14 to 16 milligrams per day, meaning Frank was consuming over 60 times the amount his body needed. Unbeknownst to him, this megadose was wreaking havoc on his cardiovascular system. Here's what happens when you take niacin in such high doses. Niacin causes a rapid dilation of blood vessels, a phenomenon known as vasodilation, which often manifests as the characteristic niacin flush, a warm, tingling sensation in the face and upper body. While this flush is uncomfortable but generally harmless, it's only half the story. After this initial dilation, the blood vessels can rebound and constrict, sometimes dramatically. This sudden tightening, known as vasoconstriction, can spike blood pressure, place undue stress on the heart, and reduce blood flow to critical organs, including the brain. Over time, this roller coaster effect, vessels expanding and contracting repeatedly, acts like a hammer tapping on fragile glass. For someone like Frank, whose cardiovascular system was already navigating the challenges of aging, this repetitive stress was a recipe for trouble. After a thorough examination and a review of his symptoms, we uncovered a chilling reality. Frank had experienced a transient ischemic attack, TIA, often referred to as a mini-stroke. One morning, His speech had slurred for about 2 minutes before returning to normal. He dismissed it as a fluke, perhaps a moment of fatigue or dehydration, but the truth was far more serious. The high-dose niacin in his supplement, intended to safeguard his heart, was quietly undermining his brain health. A TIA is a warning sign, a temporary blockage of blood flow to the brain that resolves without permanent damage but signals an increased risk of a full-blown stroke in the future. Frank was fortunate, but his experience is far from unique. Many older adults unknowingly consume high doses of niacin, often through flush-free or extended-release formulations marketed as gentler alternatives. These products, easily purchased online or at health food stores, give the illusion of safety. However, even these versions can elevate blood pressure, disrupt heart rhythms, potentially triggering conditions like atrial fibrillation, and destabilize blood sugar levels, a particular concern for those with diabetes or prediabetes. For seniors, who often have multiple health conditions or take medications that interact with supplements, the risks are amplified. Here's the critical takeaway. For older adults, niacin doses above 50 milligrams per day should only be taken under strict medical supervision. If you have high blood pressure, a history of heart rhythm issues, or are on medications like statins or antihypertensives, it's imperative to check the labels of your supplements and fortified foods. Frank, now niacin-free, is on the mend, with no lasting damage from his TIA. But his words linger with me. "Doc, I thought I was doing everything right. I didn't know I was gambling with my brain." Frank's story is just one of many. Over the years, I've seen countless patients, particularly seniors, fall into the trap of assuming that more vitamins equal better health. To illustrate the broader issue, let's consider the case of Mrs. Margaret Wilson, a 73-year-old retired school principal from Tucson, Arizona. When I first met Margaret, she arrived at my office with a small plastic organizer brimming with supplements. Vitamin D for bone health, vitamin E for heart protection, a B-complex for energy, niacin for cholesterol, a multivitamin, just in case, and a few others marketed for cognitive support. "I'm doing everything right, Doc," she said confidently, yet she was struggling with morning dizziness, worsening balance, and blood pressure readings that were creeping higher despite her medications. Something wasn't adding up. Rather than adding more pills or adjusting her prescriptions, we took a bold step. We simplified her regimen. One by one, we phased out the supplements, replacing them with a nutrient-dense, whole foods-based approach tailored to her needs. There was no need for a restrictive diet or an expensive meal plan, just a return to real, recognizable food. Margaret's new breakfast became a model of simplicity and nourishment. 1 boiled egg for high-quality protein to support muscle health, half an avocado packed with heart and brain-healthy monounsaturated fats, a slice of whole grain toast for steady, slow-release carbohydrates, a handful of blueberries bursting with brain-protective antioxidants, and a glass of room-temperature water to hydrate her body and brain. On some days, she'd toss in a small handful of walnuts or almonds for added vitamin E and magnesium. No powders, no capsules. Just food as nature intended. Within 3 weeks, Margaret noticed a remarkable shift. Her morning dizziness subsided, her blood pressure stabilized without additional medication, and her energy levels soared. Most strikingly, she described a newfound mental clarity, saying, "It's like a fog lifted from my mind." This transformation wasn't magic. It was science. The human brain thrives on a delicate balance of hydration, healthy fats, consistent energy sources, and micronutrients delivered in their natural forms. Megadoses of isolated vitamins can overwhelm the body's systems, but whole foods provide nutrients in bioavailable forms, accompanied by fiber, phytochemicals, and other compounds that work synergistically to support health. For older adults looking to protect their brain and body, certain foods stand out as nutritional powerhouses. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard are rich in folate, vitamin K, and antioxidants that combat oxidative stress in the brain. Fatty fish such as salmon, mackerel, or sardines deliver omega-3 fatty acids, which strengthen neuronal membranes and reduce inflammation. Berries, blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries are packed with polyphenol, compounds that dampen inflammation and protect against cognitive decline. Nuts and seeds, like almonds, walnuts, and flax seeds, provide vitamin E, magnesium, and healthy fats that support brain function and cardiovascular health. Whole grains, such as oats, quinoa, or whole wheat bread, offer steady glucose release to fuel the brain without the blood sugar spikes that can harm cognition over time. These foods don't just nourish the brain. They bolster the heart, strengthen bones, stabilize mood, and enhance mobility. Every bite becomes an act of healing, a small but powerful step toward preserving independence and vitality. By shifting away from the supplement-heavy approach that Margaret once relied on, we rediscovered an age-old truth. The body wasn't designed to run on pills. It was built to thrive on real, whole, nutrient-rich foods that deliver exactly what the brain and body need, in just the right amounts. If you're wondering what to do instead of relying on vitamins, the answer lies in your kitchen. Start with simple, intentional choices: a colorful plate of vegetables, a serving of fatty fish twice a week, a handful of berries as a snack, or a sprinkle of nuts over your morning oatmeal. These choices aren't just about preventing harm, they're about building a foundation for a sharper mind, a stronger heart, and a more vibrant life. Dorothy, Frank, and Margaret are living proof that knowledge, paired with practical changes, can make all the difference. Before you reach for that next supplement, pause, read the label, and consider a simpler, safer path. Let food be your medicine. That's it for today's deep dive into the surprising risks of common vitamins and how you can protect your brain with simple, real food choices. Your health is in your hands, and awareness is your best medicine. So, what have you learned so far? Maybe it's checking your vitamin D dose, being cautious with vitamin E if you're on blood thinners, or swapping pills for nutrient-rich foods like blueberries and salmon. I'd love to hear from you. Comment below with one thing you've learned from this video and will bring into practice in your life to stay healthy and strong. If you found this video helpful, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel